I'm David, easy first name. Poeppel, it's a German last name, and if you speak German, it's Poeppel. If you don't speak German, David will do. I am a professor of psychology and neuroscience. We're at NYU today, in my lab here, and we're going to talk about the kind of things we do, and we're also going to do an experiment with one of the brain scanners that we use here, and we'll talk a little bit about what that scanner is and why we use it and why we think it's a good idea. Broadly speaking, the research we do here is about the brain bases of language, speech, and hearing. The fact of the matter is it's remarkable that you can actually understand what I'm saying at all, assuming you can understand what I'm saying. I'm moving my mouth, and I'm generating little vibrations, actually mechanical vibrations, in the air. The mechanical vibrations are spreading all around, and those of you sitting around, these vibrations hit your ears, and they vibrate your ears. And then mechanical vibrations get translated into some kind of neural code, and those mechanical vibrations ultimately end up as abstractions in your head. So you go from vibrations to abstractions. Pretty complicated, simple concept, complicated problem. And so one of the questions is, well, what is the stuff in your head? What does it mean to know a language? In linguistics, we want to know, well, what are all the parts that make up knowing a language? A slightly different, obviously deeply related question is, how do you use it online? So right now, I have knowledge of language, and I'm drawing on that, and I'm pulling stuff together and translating it into output, and you guys are comprehending it. You're taking in these vibrations and turning them into sentences that you connect to ideas in your head. How do you actually acquire it to begin with? When you're born, you don't know the language that's spoken around you because it doesn't come for free. On the other hand, every kid can learn any language. That's been the big puzzle. So what is it that you have to come equipped with? Are you just a totally blank slate? Or do you come pre-compiled with some pretty sophisticated machinery? I'm a nativist. I believe you come pre-compiled with all kinds of stuff. Obviously there's learning, plasticity, and change, but I think the way a biological system is built is extremely sophisticated from the get-go, fresh out of the box. So there's, what do you know? How do you use it? How do you acquire it? And so now we have two problems. We have language, which is a pretty complicated cognitive system, a computational system living in your head. And you have the brain, which is another pretty complicated system. And now what we try to work on is, well, how do you align these complicated systems? So how do you deal with the parts list of language and the parts list of the brain? One of the big, really game-changing advances in the last 20-25 years has been the development of functional brain imaging. Everyone's been to the doctor, you've taken an X-ray, maybe you've had an MRI, and most of these approaches give you a picture, right? So they give you just a photograph of some visualization of a structure. So you've had an X-ray because you broke your ankle or something like that. In the non-invasive recording, we're interested, of course, not just in structure, but in function. We're interested in what's going on in the brain as you're doing stuff, in particular in our case, language, speech, and hearing. One stream of data is you measure the so-called hemodynamic response. Right, so you measure hemodynamics. So that's basically everything to do with blood. Why do we do that? Because brain activity happens, and of course, the brain is embedded in vasculature. And as the brain is active and does stuff and fires away, the blood surrounding that changes in important ways. The other non-invasive recording approach is electromagnetic. The currency of brain activity is electricity. Cells are electric little devices, and they send current to each other. Here, we're trying to record the brain activity directly. Right? So for instance, the two big techniques that we use here are EEG, electroencephalography, and the big muscular cousin of EEG is MEG, or magnetoencephalography, and that's the experiment you're going to do this afternoon.